right, you guys, I'm thankful for you to be here today. We're going to recover why so many athletes, are tired, injured, or not growing, and how to fix it with food fast. So if you've ever watched your athlete struggle with fatigue, get injured too often, or seem like they just can't catch up, you're not alone. I've worked with thousands of athletes, Olympians, high schoolers, and even 10-year-olds. And the biggest game changer is almost never more training. It's what they eat. So I've created this talk because so many parents and coaches come to me confused, frustrated, and even scared, not knowing if their athlete is eating enough, eating right, or if something bigger is left. And so, I've been at this for 20 plus years. I am a registered and licensed dietitian, athletic trainer, strength coach. But growing up, no one taught me, how food can make or break your performance. And now I can help athletes at all levels, from kids to pros, fuel properly, perform better, and avoid injury. So I've created the Food for Speed TV. You can get Food for Speed. It's at Food for Speed TV, YouTube Food for Speed, Instagram, X, all Food for Speed TV, and my Weatherwax's Sports Nutrition Academy, to make these tools available for every family and not just the elite few. So what are some of the things that parents have told me? Endless Googling, picky eaters, hectic schedules, constant energy crashes, not knowing what supplements are safe, being told just eat more without a meal plan. So if you've tried protein shakes, endless snacks, or guesswork meal plans from the internet, you're not failing. The system is actually failing you guys. So what I have done is I've created the fuel system, FUEL. It's 4 steps to make this easy. So F is for fuel first. U is understand daily needs. E is eliminate the guesswork. And L is leverage your tools. So let's go over fuel first. So the biggest step is timing. It's the biggest mistake. You're skipping fuel before and after practice or competition. Even 30 to 60 minutes before movement, it can make a small difference. Example, a banana, almond butter or seed butter, peanut butter, and electrolyte drink. Electrolyte drink could be Gatorade, but electrolyte could be Element. And then liquids work great too, especially if they're not hungry. And then post-workout, you can't wait. Recovery starts right away within 30 to 45 minutes. And that could be anywhere from 10 to 30 grams of protein and 15 to 60 grams of carbs within that 30 to 45 minutes. And healthy fats can be in that or not. Vegetables can be with that or not, but you have to have at least 10 to 30 grams of protein and 15 to 60 grams of carbs. And that's basically based on how big they are. So if they're under 100 pounds, you're going to go with the 10 to 20 grams. If they're a teen and weighing over 100 pounds, then 30 to 60 grams of carbs, and then the protein. It has to be done together. Otherwise, it doesn't absorb well. So if you just do the protein, at that moment of time, protein will not absorb back into the muscle without the carb very well. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing just protein and not the carbs. And then you get some people who don't do anything. And you will not absorb the same amount of fuel 2 hours later. You got to get it within that window of time to really maximize that absorption back into the muscle. And so other quick examples of post is overnight oats. I don't know if you've heard of those, but If they like oatmeal, they come in a packet, 20 grams of protein, 45 grams of carbs. They actually have some healthy nuts and seeds in that. You just mix it with water. It's perfect. But it could be a peanut butter and honey sandwich, and some milk or some soy milk could work because it's protein and carbs. It could be liquid or solid. Next is you got to understand their daily needs. And the bonus that you're going to get at the end is I actually have a link even in the chat for calculate your athlete's fuel needs. So that is coming with your bonus today. That's free, where you could actually get an idea of how much fuel your athlete needs. I get asked, what is fuel? Food is a calorie, calorie is heat, and heat is energy. Energy is fuel. So talk about fueling, talk about energy. Okay, so again, calories, you're gonna hear me say fuel or energy instead of calories. Food is a calorie, calorie is heat, heat is energy, and energy is fuel. And obviously there's so many factors on how much your athlete needs because it varies by age, sport, size, training, how much training they do. So we got to understand. Now, this next piece, people put the individual factors and lump the growing together. You have to separate it. It's the individual needs, and then it's what is required for them to grow, because that takes fuel. And then you have performance nutrition. So, a shocker is most athletes just eat too little, and because needs change. So when they fuel enough every day, they grow, they win, and they thrive. Now E is eliminate the guesswork. Let's stop overthinking this. What does a solid meal look like on a game day or a school day? It literally could just be grilled chicken, beans and rice, avocado, a smoothie, and some water. And then there's a lot of salt in that meal, hopefully. Otherwise, you have tomato juice or you have more salt with that meal, because the main electrolyte is salt. In the middle, you see that there's salmon and zobi noodles and greens, and then a smoothie, and then there's some electrolytes in that smoothie, like liquid IV. And then it could be just chicken and sweet potatoes and watermelon. And the thing in that one is chicken broth. Chicken broth is really high in salt, so you can dip the chicken in that, give some stuff a little bit more flavor. And that has a lot of sodium in it. We need more sodium in our meals. So it doesn't have to be fancy. You need fuel that fits their schedule. And I'll show you how to simplify that in the academy. And then you got to leverage tools that you have, right? What's free today is my Food for Speed TV is coming soon. And that's free. It's going to be, it's going to give tips on fueling and eating and hydrating to give your athlete the energy, recovery, and confidence they deserve. Okay. So also in the academy that I've created, it has, we don't want you to figure this out alone. I built this so families could access daily fuel plans, calculate their fuel needs. You can ask me questions anytime within the academy. And, and like I mentioned, my Food for Speed. So that's going to have weekly tips, athlete wins, live demos. And I'm launching that August 15th, somewhere between August 15th and September 1st. So if you follow, you'll stay on top of that. And the goal right now is Thursdays at 6 p.m. live for Q&A. And then it's going to be on every platform. So Spotify, Apple TV, Roku, iHeartRadio, 20 plus platforms in replay. So that way you will have access all the time. And it's all linking back to my website and my academy. And so you have more resources at your fingertips that helps you be successful without the guesswork. Here's some really cool results. Real athletes that I've worked with. Emma got leaner and dropped time in her 200 in just the short course season by 2.6 seconds in one state. And actually, to top that off, that time allowed her to swim for the school of her dreams in college. Luke, he was falling behind on growth He ended up growing 6 inches in 6 months, gained 25 pounds, and his mile per hour went up 6 in that amount of time. And he's continued to gain more lean weight. Anish started off gaining 25 pounds of lean weight, which got him to start varsity as a sophomore. And to give you a heads up, in that time frame, he's now put on 50 more pounds of lean weight in his last year in college. Grace, cross country and track, phenomenal cross country runner. She was one of the best in the state, and she got 40 seconds faster within 2 weeks of us working together. Stayed healthy, injury free, and won state. And just a side note, she did go qualify for the Olympic trials in the mile, which is really hard to do at age 20. She's now a junior in college. You know what the best part of all of this is? All these results came from food, not fats. All it was the system failing you, and now it's fixable. So, you want to stop guessing. So in the chat, I gave you links already. They're free. You get 30 plus liquid option download that you could have before workouts. So make sure you click on those, download that. I do have my academy. It's normally $249, but it's $149 for the full year. And for today, you have 7 days. If you don't like it, just kick out and get your money back. That is a QR code. But if anything, follow Food for Speed. Follow me on Instagram so you get tips daily or weekly. And then the bonus, just so you have them, because that's from today, is I created the free fuel quiz, and you receive more fueling ideas for free. And then if you want to calculate your athlete's fuel needs, again, that means how many calories do they need. But remember, if you were kind of checking out or didn't hear me, as food is a calorie, calories heat, heat is energy, and energy is fuel, then you can calculate your athlete's needs. And in the academy, again, it just has daily menus and supplements if you have questions on supplements, and you could ask me questions anytime within that platform. So you get all of that for free. So please go in the chat and at least get your 30 plus liquid fueling download. And then if you click those 2 links, you can fill out the fuel quiz, and you can, you calculate your athlete's fuel needs as we're speaking. And I'll come. So that's in the chat. And, here's the thing that I've seen. We want to fuel their future, right? I've seen athletes lose scholarships, get sidelined by injuries, or quit early, all because no one taught them how to fuel. But also seeing what's possible. When they learn, they get confidence, they grow, and they have happiness and joy. It isn't just about sports, it's about their future, and let's fuel them together. So I really kept this nice, short, and sweet because I want to answer any particular questions that you have. Is anybody else having problems with them being, oh, well, in the chat? I'll post them again. Okay, hold on. I don't know why I didn't. Okay, there you go. Hopefully you see them. So if you were at the end, so I put my contact info, but if you click, you get the 30 liquid options download. That's just the link to my academy. If anything, just follow Sports Nutrition to Go or Food for Speed TV, both free. And that's on Instagram. Food for Speed TV is pretty easy because I got the name for everything. Instagram, X, you'll find my Food for Speed on my website, but on all the other platforms, it's Food for Speed, and YouTube, it's Food for Speed TV. And then the fuel quiz, if you fill that out, it will kind of link you to some other options, possibly for some other downloads. And then you can calculate your athlete's fuel needs, because that's so important to get an idea of what your athlete actually needs. And then the next step is figuring out what they're actually consuming. So, all right, you guys. Yeah. I want to answer your questions. It might not, it could pertain to anything that you have on this topic. Anybody have any particular questions for me that they would like me to go into more detail, or just situations and or whatever? You can unmute yourself as well if you'd like. Otherwise, we're going to get done really early. Anybody have any questions for me? Hopefully you can see all the stuff in the chat. I just want to make sure you get all the bonuses and the downloads that will help you take out the guesswork and help it be fixable for you and your athlete.
Hi, Don. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I saw you at NADA too, and I was just like, love your talk. So my kid is actually doing like 3 sports right now, and yes, I know it's crazy, but like going from one to another, like what are your suggestions on how to deal with that?
Can you give me the timeline on an example of when they might?
Sure. So like today, he had a track meet,
Okay, what time?
and like it started at 4.
Okay.
I think he did 3 events. His last event was over at a little after 6.
Okay.
So we're going from there right to baseball,
Okay. And
which he was
baseball
already late. He was already late for baseball. So,
okay.
I made him peanut butter and banana sandwich. But like, are there better? Like, I don't know. It's just
It's hard. Yeah, I get it. So here's the thing. It's, from after school to, going right into sports, and you get a lot of them that say, I don't have enough time.
Right.
So a couple of things are I get them to go, what are the school rules? If the school rules allow them to eat in the hallway or things like that, the first issue is I don't have enough time. And I go, okay, let's rethink what this means. You don't have to wait till the bell rings to then all of a sudden try to shove food down your throat to go to your sport. If you have the opportunity, nibble on something from 1 to 4, from 1 to 3:30, right? It's not just about the minute the bell rings. Now, if you can have a Hydro Flask or a Yeti or things like that, then you're golden, because they could walk out of the house. It could have milk in it. It could have juice in it. I don't always like juice, but in certain situations, we need to get them even some type of fuel. You could put a smoothie in that. Smoothies are awesome if they like them, because you can make that a 500 unit fuel smoothie. You can make that 1,000 unit fuel smoothie. The trick is in the healthy fats, because you could put 3 tablespoons of seed butter, peanut butter, nuts. So you got peanuts that are a legume, you got seeds because most people aren't allergic to. Now, I've heard some people said, oh, this is too thick. Okay, so take out to 1 tablespoon, but then if they don't have a texture issue, you can put a 1/4 of a cup of whole nuts in it, cashews, sunflower seeds, chia seeds. But then when you blend it, it will just kind of have a little, a little bit of a texture, but it won't make it as thick. So it's way more drinkable. Another one of my popular ones in the Hydro Flask are overnight oats. There is a brand called Overnight Oats, and it's a packet, and it's 20 grams of protein and 45 grams of carbs, and you could just shake it with water. If I had an athlete that you need even more with that, you can make it with milk, you can make it with soy milk, you can make it with cashew milk, you can make it with oatmeal or oat milk, because that's going to give it more carbs, and you could still put more chia seeds in it. But they just shake it and they can drink it, and it uses monk fruit to sweeten it, and they're actually really, really good. So that's just
Mm.
something that would work really good even at a track meet and also baseball. Um, you could do peanut butter balls or, those kinds of things, but just keep remembering they don't have to just shove it in. They could take it with them. Now, at a track meet, don't, when you have a lot of running around, then sports drinks can work well in this situation because they will get in the muscle within 30 to 45 minutes. That's why they say, when do you use a sports drink? It says, well, the activity has to last longer than 30 to 45 minutes because it takes about 30 to 45 minutes for that to get into the muscle. Now, at my office, I have a thing called muscle sound, and it's just ultrasound on the top of your legs. I love it. It's been out for 27 years. I've had it for 7. That was like the game changer for me. I do body comp, which is so important to know their lean weight, to know how much protein they need, and that's also too helps guide how they could get better. When people go, why would I see somebody? I go, well, if you're doing it right, you're testing so you know where to go, right? Like, don't just train. You want to have the real stuff, know the knowledge so they can get to their goals, right? So just knowing how much lean weight somebody needs to get to, that's telling you how the nutrition and training is matching to get them to that goal and how they should tweak tweak their programs to get there. But also, like, again, like I said, if I know how much lean weight they have, I know how much minimum protein they need with body comp, but it also guides where you can be when. But the muscle sound, and I also do metabolism, so I know how to measure. But in the academy, you calculate your fuel. I even have tape measurements, so you can measure body comp without me. But muscle sound, that's nothing can replace that. I cannot. Here's my story of an athlete, weighs 80 pounds, an hour and 45 minutes before going to swim. And I said, oh my gosh, perfect opportunity. I'm inside a facility called, my business is Sports Nutrition to Go, but I'm inside a facility that's a sports performance facility, and they sell Gatorade. And I go, you know what? I'm just going to have him drink 20 ounces of Gatorade. And he drank it. And well, I did the muscle sound, tested him, and then had him drink it. I waited 45 minutes. The fuel in his muscle went from 79% fuel in the muscle up to 98% fuel in his muscle in that 45 minutes with that 20 ounce of Gatorade. Now, he weighs 80 pounds. So, I don't want people to think, okay, now just shove Gatorade or sports drink down your throat, but it does get into the muscle. And so when we have athletes that are really struggling to fuel, sports drinks do work. Now, Prime, it's not the same because it only has 20 grams of sodium in it, and you need the salt to bring it into the muscle cell. So you either have to put salt with it, you either have to put food that has salt with it, or you have to put a product like Element or Liquid IV in with the Prime. Body Armor is the same. It only has 20 milligrams of sodium. So it's not going to go into the muscle cell very well because you need that driving system to get the fluid along with the carbs. So there's lots of product, right? But my favorite of Gatorade is organic Gatorade, and organic Gatorade off Amazon. There's 2 flavors, strawberry and mango, and they come in canisters. You guys, it's 21 cents per serving. Think about that, what I'm saying. 21 cents per serving. It's like getting 4 bottles free for the price of 1. You just have to make it the way they say it. You don't water it down. You don't add more scoops to like the same fluid. You do what it says. And if you like those 2 flavors, oh my gosh, people's eyeballs like flip out because it tastes so good. So it's just one that you can get cheaper off Amazon. And I love it because it could be in your bag, and there's always water around, and they just put a scoop and shake it up, and they can start drinking it. Don't hesitate with sports drinks if you feel you're always struggling with enough fuel, because it is not Kool-Aid. There's another brand I haven't, Hoist IV. Hoist is a product out of Cincinnati, and it is coconut water based. So if you like Body Armor and Prime, because they use coconut water as a base, you could switch to Hoist IV because it has enough potassium or it has enough salt in it. So that's a good switch over. Another product you might like that most people don't know about, I don't know how much you follow basketball, but Steph Curry has just come out with a product called Please, Plezi, and it uses fruit juice and a little, it's kind of like the lines of Hoist, like it has a little bit less fuel in it. But it has like 120 milligrams of sodium in it, but they use fruit juice. They use like pear juice and things like that. So that's come out. That's only on Amazon right now. I don't know if it would be in Whole Foods or anything because it's starting out in California because that's where he resides. So that's an option. Now, track meets hydrate, and I love peanut butter sandwiches, but baseball you can eat. So this is the thing, you like peanut butter pretzels, almond butter pretzels, sunflower seed pretzels. Oh my gosh, those are too easy. A healthy fat. With the carbs, they're salty, you have to drink. A cheap trick is if they can do nut butters or seed butters or they like that kind of thing, is just get saltine crackers and then have your jar of peanut butter, preferably with no added sugar. And then you just bring your honey bear, right? And my three that I like, honey, maple syrup, and agave. But, just drizzle a little bit or pour it in, drizzle it into the peanut butter and stir it up. And then you slap it on the saltines because that just goes well, or just oyster crackers. Now, when he's done with track, baseball is they don't run much. So he really could eat a turkey sandwich on his way to baseball. The other thing is he can nibble. This is just getting our minds going, well, practice started, so therefore I can't eat. I'm like, no, we need to change that. This is any practice. They tell you to go hydrate. So wherever you go hydrate, that's your fuel bag. You can cover it up. Nobody has to know. So when they switch, right, and go grab their bat or go grab their glove or wherever they're at, he comes over and gets a drink, and he can pop, some pretzel sticks in his mouth. He can pop some popcorn in his mouth. He could pop some Triscuit crisps in his mouth. He could take some dried fruit, just some raisins or dried mango or a fruit strip, because those are way too easy to eat. And it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. Trail mixes work well. Kind nut bars, if it's hot, it will melt if it has the chocolate. So, there's a give or take sometimes with some of my options that I'm giving you. But think of anything. Jerky works great. Like he could eat jerky during baseball. Even during a game, what they're learning. I know the athletic trainer at the Kansas City Royals firsthand. They've been eating for a couple of years now. They eat in the dugout. We just got to say, eat. We take your food, take a bite of your turkey sandwich. They have a little cooler. They could have their cooler. They could have naked smoothie in there. They could have Oikos yogurt. They could have a Chobani drinkable yogurt. Now, Chobani drinkable yogurt has no lactose in it. So if you have lactose issues, that's why I like Chobani drinkable yogurts, because they're lactose free, but then they put back in the blended fruit. They do use monk fruit to sweeten it, but it is sweet. And so kids who like sweet, that don't like chunks, that don't like thick, you see it like that. And if it's still a little bit thicker because they do put fiber in it, you can just put more liquid in it. Just put milk in it or put more oat milk in it and just shake it and they'll be fine. Cheese sticks, Baby Bell lights or Laughing Cow lights because it's soft cheese, and you can have some carrot sticks with that. It's just they have to have it with them. And they have to be mindful of doing it and get out of the thing like, well, practice started, therefore I can't eat. I'm like, no, they let you hydrate. So when you go change your gear, you pop a couple of things in your mouth or a Cliff Energy bar. They have Cliff Nutter bars. There's 88 Acres has a seed bar. It's only seeds, no nuts or peanuts. You could do a Power Crunch bar. It has chocolate around it kind of, so it would melt if it's hot. But you see the point. Lara bars, that's just like pureed, like fruit. There's a fruit solely, SOLEY, that is like dried fruit, but it's kind of interesting. They don't dry it as much, and And so it just looks like fruit jerky. Um, and you can do your classic apple, banana, orange. And I know you guys, my kids the same way. If you want them to eat it, just, maybe, like if you're waiting for him to jump in the car, or before he jumps out of the car, he's grabbing his gear. You literally just take the apple. You have a plastic knife or a knife, in your little kit, and you just slice the thing for them and stick it in the Ziploc bag. They'll eat a sliced apple. They'll eat oranges that you slice for them. They'll eat a pear if you just cut down the core, get it out, and they'll eat it. So, but you want to wait a little bit of time usually. But if they're going to eat on the way out, it's just easy to eat, right? A banana, they can just pop open. So those are tricks, and he really can eat throughout. And you could get a sandwich with baked Lay's chips and a banana in that time. He just has to get used to just taking nibbles and eating as he goes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps. How do you help an athlete learn to eat more if they don't eat enough and say they feel full? Okay. That is very common. And a lot of times, one, I think it depends on your athlete, educating them. If you know they're underweight and you know that they need more fuel, at my office, again, the muscle sound, that definitely wakes up many people's eyeballs. So most athletes who don't, are like, I'm full, therefore I'm eating enough. I am like, yeah, that if your athlete is chronically underweight, then they're not eating enough. But what's happened, and this could happen to somebody who has some body composition to change to get leaner, but if they eat too little, the fuel in their muscle will go low. And then you have to understand this. If the fuel in their muscle goes low, they will not grow. They will slow down growth. They will be slower. They are more apt to get injured. They are more apt to get fatigued. And some people are like, I'm fine. I feel great. I go, you just don't know how good you can feel. So what happens in this scenario is they're more in a survival mode, a survival mechanism. Just think if you closed your eyes, if I ask what they're burning, the body knows what their metabolism is because you're alive. Your heart pumping is your metabolism. Their lungs breathing is their metabolism. Their eyes blinking is their metabolism. All of us being alive is metabolism. The body already knows that's their body. Now, now you take this food, and let's say this is one Fairlife, and I drink it. The body probably doesn't even know that it's, I'm trying to there it is. Doesn't even know that it's Fairlife milk because it can't see it and it can't hear when it comes to this answer. So it goes down your esophagus, goes into your stomach, and then it starts to go through your GI tract. That's when it starts going, oh, that's calcium, that's vitamin D, that's riboflavin, oh, that's protein and carbs. Oh, now we absorb that. Oh, that's how much fuel or calories they are absorbing. The body doesn't know what that is because it can't see it and it can't hear it. But if you're burning this much and you're only inputting this much, like this gap is too big, then the body goes, ooh, I think their crops died. I think there's no bison. There's no dinosaur eggs. I'm not kidding. So what happens is the fuel in the muscle goes low, and that's what's signaling to the brain, something's wrong. There's not enough food because it doesn't know what century you live in. It doesn't know where you're at. It just knows that, hey, the fuel in your muscle is going low, which is mainly carbs. And it doesn't mean eat more and more carbs. It's a balance of foods. But then it says, wait a second, I got to help you survive. And how does it help them survive? It shrinks their stomach. So they're not as hungry. Because think about this. Why do we get hungry? Because the body's trying to tell us we need fuel. But think if a time when you are really hungry, but you have no money and you have no food and you have to stay hungry until you eat. That's really cruel. So our body senses that and it stops the hunger. because that would be awful if you had to stay hungry when you had no money and you had no food. So it shrinks the stomach, and those athletes tend to be more sensitive to fullness. They go, oh, I'm full, so therefore I don't need anymore and I'm going to stop. Well, unfortunately, the body shrunk it because they weren't matching their need and they thought they were in danger, and they're more apt to burn muscle, or they're more apt to get further and further behind on when they're supposed to grow. And you said, Katie, you said swimming. So Katie Ledecky, it is a competitive advantage. If you're supposed to be 6 foot tall at 14 years old, that you're 6 foot tall at 14 years old. Steph Curry, if you follow him at all, I think he was 5'9" or 5'10". He grew to 6'2", 6'3" in college. So he wasn't eating enough to support. So he was lucky that his growth plates didn't close before that happened. Now, guys will grow until 22 to 25, and females usually stop around age 18. And when it comes to bone, both genders are continuing to fill in those bones up until age 25 or 30. So females, even though their height is almost done or done, they are still in development. And I've known 3 female athletes grow in college. It kind of freaked me out because it was all the same year. But they were lucky their growth plates didn't close. I've had girls grow their senior year like junior and senior year, 2 to 3 inches, having a menstrual cycle since they were in 8th grade. Sometimes we're just not getting enough so they can get to grow. So if we go back to, see if I can get this to go back. Oh yeah. Okay. So if we go back to this chart, right? Oops, I'm trying something different. Okay. We forget that we need fuel to grow because that takes a lot of fuel. And so if they go to bed and the fuel in their muscle is low. So to answer your athlete, it's knowledge. The muscle sound is insanely great because most will think they're at 50, 60%, and sometimes they're at 8%, and you can't outskirt the measurement. But you got to say, hey, we got to work a little bit more at this, and we got to stretch the stomach. It usually will take 2 to 4 weeks, but usually they'll start to feel so much better and they aren't as tired, and then I win. The one story with Grace, #1 runner, oh gosh, probably all 4 years, but the last few years, Gatorade runner, she got 40 seconds faster. She was eating 2,500 units of fuel, but she needed 4,000 to 4,500 units of fuel a day because she was burning so much. So the baseball player, he was 98 pounds, was 4'11", and I'm not kidding. We started off at 3,000 units of fuel, of the right fuel. And he just trusted me. He's like, Dawn, I'm not gaining, because we try to gain like a half to 1 pound a week. That was it. He's like, I'm not gaining anymore on 3. So we went to 35. He wasn't gaining on 35. I go, are you sure you're eating everything? He said, yes. But the thing about that is, he needed 4,000 to 4,500 calories at like 98 to 100 pounds. Because he was so far behind on the growth that his body said, oh my gosh, you're finally giving me the fuel I need. Now I'm ready to make up the difference. So when they say they feel full, it's a lot about educating. So calculate their fuel needs. And then there's an app called Chronometer. It is in my academy as well. All of this is in there. But what are they actually consuming? So if you know what they might need, you might take it upon yourself to try to get an idea of what they're actually consuming and see how close they match, because a lot of times they're not eating close to what they need. And then you work hard at making small changes. The liquids, healthy fats, a tablespoon of olive oil, avocado oil in their rice, in their pasta. This is 120 to 150 calories in this 1 tablespoon. That is a really, really awesome trick, because you can put that in their eggs after it's cooked, put it in their rice after it's cooked, and you do that 4 times a day. That's 600 units of fuel, and you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Not that much. They won't even know it's there. And healthy fat, body loves healthy fat, brain loves healthy fat, gut loves healthy fat. It decreases inflammation. So those are tricks on how to get more fuel in as well. Yeah, yes, you've been telling her that she needs more food to function for muscle growth. I mean, she'll do better in school. Even my straight A athletes who come to see me, they go, "Oh my gosh, I'm doing so much better in school." It's just because they can focus better. Some are really like they say they're fine, but when I see their numbers, I go, "You just don't know how good you could feel." And I will share with you, anybody who's hung out with me and worked with me long enough, if I see that difference, usually in 4 weeks to 6 weeks, we kind of laugh and look back going, can you imagine just eating that little anymore? So it is definitely about good foods all the time. All right. Anybody else have questions for me? Oh, somebody asked about POTS. Would you do, this would be the same for someone with POTS. Okay, POTS, yeah, well, so POTS, like you can faint. Okay, POTS, it's huge for having enough hydration, and salt is a big part of being properly hydrated. So you definitely want 3 to 4 grams of sodium a day. I prefer 16 to 32 ounces of fluid the first 3 hours of the day, and 500 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium the first 3 hours of the day. 1,000, I kind of go if they weigh 100 pounds or more, go with 1,000. If they're less, 500. Now, salt comes from food, it comes from salt, and it comes from product. A fourth of a teaspoon of salt has 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium. So you could do an espresso shot of it if you want. That's a cheap method. Shaking your food and salting it, I can't measure that for you. I don't know what that means when someone says, I salted my food. I go, I don't know how much that is. I highly recommend if you did a teaspoon of salt, that's roughly 2 grams, 2.5 grams, depending on which one. But just put it in a little dish and then you pinch it and put it in their food so you know how much you're using at the end of the day. But that will help bring the water out of the bloodstream and into the muscle cell. It also really helps because if you just drink a lot of water, then you dilute sodium, and that will make POTS worse because you need that blood pressure. So you don't want them just peeing it out. You want to kind of hold it. And I've had a lot of people have a lot of success if we can optimally hydrate. If it's insanely humid out there, it still can catch them. But if we can go to bed hydrated and there's ways to measure that, then that will help with POTS. Okay, could you please explain suggested macros for a post-sport, please? You mentioned protein and carbs. How about fat for a child less than 100 grams? So I'm going to repeat the question. Could you repeat? Okay, could you repeat suggested macros for post-sport, please? You mentioned protein and carbs. How about fat? Okay, so post-recovery. Now, if it's just a quick 20-minute run, you don't need post-recovery. But if you are under 100 pounds, I say 10 to 20 grams of protein and 15 to 45 grams of carbs because they just don't have as much muscle. Now, if they're a soccer player versus softball, the more you move, the more gas you go through, right? Are we going to the neighbors? Or are we going to Florida? Carbs are like gas in the muscle. The more we move, the more carbs we will go through. Now, I want to say one thing though. It's not always about eating more and more carbs. We got to balance the protein and healthy fats. Healthy fats daily like to burn so the carbs can get into the muscle. Okay, please, it's not just about eating more carbs. I've seen this over and over with my muscle sound that measures the fuel, that if we just add more carbs, they just actually I don't get it to 80 or 90% when I would like it for big competitions because they're using it. Healthy fats burn so the carbs can get in the muscle. But in that time frame, you want the carbs. So if they play softball versus they do soccer, is it a soccer game versus a soccer practice? That's two totally different things. Soccer matches or games, they're gonna and if they're playing, they're gonna go way through more carbs. So I would go with a higher carb content. But just to make this simple, if you like chocolate milk, it's like 10 ounces of chocolate milk because it's 10 grams of protein and it's about 15 to 20 to 30 grams of carbs. 20 ounces of regular chocolate milk is 20 ounces of protein and almost 60 grams of carb. A Horizon chocolate milk, they're organic, they're shelf stable. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. Those work great. You could do 2 of those. You need carbs and protein, because if you just do the protein, it doesn't like to go into the muscle very well without the carbs. So you need them together. Another thing is, once the body cools down and it's an hour or 2 hours later, especially like 2 hours or later, they say they're not hungry, they're too tired, they forgot it. Your body will not absorb all of that back in the muscle. And this is where the chocolate milk thing goes away, because post-recovery, the body doesn't care that it's sugar. Now, sports drinks, the sugar is different. It's not like Kool-Aid. It's a fructose, glucose, maltodextrin. Like, there's different things, and it will absorb into the muscle whether you're active or not. That's what makes it unique. But I don't like kids drinking it all the time. There's a purpose. But chocolate milk, the added sugar, I don't like that all of the time in most situations, because that's a lot of added sugar, and it doesn't really like to go in the muscle later that much, as well as post. Post, it doesn't care. It says just suck it back in. So if somebody likes something sweet, that's the time to get it in. So there's always exceptions, right? Somebody doesn't eat enough and they like chocolate milk, then give it to them. We got to work with where they're at and then slowly make changes over time. I cannot have them not eat. Okay. They can have whatever. They can have peanut butter and honey sandwich. I say honey because I just prefer that over jelly. But and they could have that's a healthy fat. As long as they put a protein like 20 ounces of milk or 10 ounces of milk with that, they're fine. The fat does not slow down the absorption. You could have, if you're eating a full meal and it was chicken and rice, right? Because that's your protein and your carb within that 30 to 45 minutes, it works. It could be liquid, it could be solid. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if it has the fat with it. It doesn't matter if it has vegetables with it. So that's where, but it's so important. But liquids tend to work better in this scenario. The drinkable yogurts, milk, soy milk, but Fairlife milk doesn't have the carbs. So please, put a bagel with the Fairlife milk. That's where people go wrong. They're just doing Fairlife chocolate milk, but Fairlife chocolate milk doesn't have the carbs. So I hope that helps answer your question. Would Greek yogurt and dried fruit be a good option? Yes, because the Greek yogurt is your protein and your dried fruit is your carb. Now, if I was adding something to that, I would say add some nuts, add some seeds, add some chia, add some flax. Some kids say they don't like nuts, but they if they like granola, then they like nuts. It's just, don't buy them whole. They have to be chopped, right? Chop them down. Almonds that are really slivered. So if you have braces, you can eat slivered almonds. So then I would actually try to, have them do that and see if they even notice. It might be crunchy. I love grape nuts too. If you don't have a wheat sensitivity, or dry Cheerios, but those are just some other options there if you're looking for some crunch. Any other questions for me? And again, in the chat, you have all your downloads and stuff, or calculators and things like that. Oh, wait, okay, there's another question here. Sorry. Okay, wait. Oh, and how should young athletes tweak diet during menses? Okay, so if you're on a menstrual cycle, here's the thing. If you're a female and you don't have major pain during your cycle, you're more like a male at any time in your life is when you're on your cycle. So you should be more powerful. You should, it's a benefit. But if you have severe pain and your iron is low, your ferritin is really low, and you're weak, that's because you don't have the knowledge, and that's fixable. We need to get the iron up, because you're more like a male at any point when you're on your period or on your menses. You have all these things that could change with your cycle. The hard part is it's really hard for people just to eat in general. It's really hard for people just to eat enough at the right times to go. I find it pretty complex to try to say, oh, up this and up that. I will that there are some small things that you could do during each week, but that's really hard for people to get into a rhythm with when they can't even get into a rhythm with their daily eating. So what's going to help you the most with a cycle is just get enough fuel, to get enough hydration, to get the timing right. And then if you want to take it a step further, there are small things that could help. If you have severe pain, a week prior, you could do like 100 to 250 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. You could add about zinc is the one, zinc, elemental zinc, not just zinc, it has to be elemental zinc, and use a zinc calculator. So you know that you're getting at least 20 to 30 milligrams of elemental zinc a week before, and then some vitamin D and some fish oil. That has been shown to maybe help with the pain, and it's been very popular. It has worked very well. Those are like, that is something different to me than doing some different things different weeks, because most people don't even eat that well to go to that level. I joined late. Will we have access to the beginning slides? Yes. So I will do a replay. I will download it and put it, and then I'll send a link so you can have the replay. It will also go on my academy at some point, but it will be there for you to access, and all my questions, because if anybody wants to hear all of this, they can maybe have some of their questions answered. All right. Let me just double check that I got. Okay, I'm telling her. Okay, there's that. Nancy, that pot. Okay, I think I finally answered all of them. Anybody else have questions for me on any subject here? This is your time. If not, I'm just the one who signed up that got in late. Just make sure you hit all the links in the chat, because you get the 30 liquid options free. The link to my academy is just where you can have access all the time to help you on this journey without guesswork. Please sign up my Food for Speed TV. And I'm just putting it out there. If you know anybody, I'm looking for some big sponsors, because it's going to go out to 200,000 plus viewers. Minimum will view it, 150 million potential, but it's going to be pretty big. I'm excited about it. So the Food for Speed TV, YouTube, Instagram, X, just Food for Speed TV. Follow, because that will start August 15th. My goal is August 15th, or by September 1st at Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern is the goal, where you can ask live questions. The fuel quiz here, the calculate your energy needs there. Okay, so I am gonna be quiet. I got more questions here. What supplements do you recommend prior to race day? Well, daily supplements, I recommend a multivitamin. It's really difficult for people to get enough nutrients of all the things. And if you don't get all the nutrients, then it's hard for the body to work properly. And then if you don't eat 100% organic, then the foods the nutrients they say you're getting are probably not all in there. And we tend to eat the same 30 foods over and over and over again. So you're just getting the same nutrients. Two is I do like the vitamin D3. You can get your blood work done on that. You can even get blood work done from a multivitamin. There's a couple of options out there that you can get your blood work checked to check all your nutrients of your micronutrients if you wanted to go there, because everything I do is knowledge, but it's also testable. Okay. But vitamin D3, because it comes from food and sun, you cannot eat enough vitamin D, and you have to be like 60% exposed and it has to be when longitude and latitude of vitamin D through the sun. So you're like, oh, they're outside. I go, well, if it's like winter months, none. There's no vitamin D in Ohio during winter months. And then like when we hit spring it's not all of a sudden it's from 10 to 3. It opens up and it might start off at 11 to 1. There's an app, it's pretty cool, called D-Minder, like reminder, but it's the letter D and then minder, and you can put your longitude and latitude in, and it will actually tell you when the vitamin D rays are out. But I just go to blood work, get your blood work done. I like it 80 nanograms per deciliter or higher. The International Olympic Committee goes with, like, they like it between 50 and 80. Some say 60 and 80, but Australian Institute of Sports like vitamin D between 80 and 100. So I want it at least 80, and most people, even as adults, are not at 80. So most people need 1,000 international units, or I think it's 25 micrograms, I think, and then or 2,000 IUs or 50 micrograms is standard. But please, it's vitamin D3. It's not vitamin D2. It's none of that. And you can get your blood work, and I recommend yearly. Like if you're doing a yearly physical, you just all of us probably need vitamin D. It's inflammation, immune system fatigue, bone, thyroid, muscle. I do love fish oil daily. Fish oil, the main things in fish oil. So if your kid struggles, this one does have a little bit of, I don't know, I got the blurry thing on there, so I'll try to move it. Sorry, it's something new I'm using, but there we go. Barleans, omega-3s, but the biggest thing you're looking for, I'm not liking this, seeing my thing, and I want you to see it, and now, whoop, whoop, where is it? Okay. Well, I don't like that part. I guess I gotta hold still. Let's see if I do this. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. It's just learning. But down here, over here, if I touch it, it goes away. Sorry. It's the EPA and the DHA. That's the main part that helps all of us. Brain health, heart health, joint health. I love fish oil because it comes from fatty fish and algae, and that's it. So your nuts and seeds are healthy, but they don't convert enough of the ALA to DHA. That helps with brain health, heart health, joint health, maybe be leaner, but it's a lot about inflammation. So, and I don't like people eating gobs of salmon because you have to get your blood work. And I've never had anybody like 8 months to a year later that doesn't have like mercury in their blood from eating way too much fatty fish. So I'm sorry about that, but nobody is kind of said, I'm going to do it all natural and not skirt the issue. I even had a guy in Spain, his blood work, he wanted to do it all naturally, and his blood work went a little wacky in 6 to 8 months. So we took out the fish that often. So I recommend prior to race day. So those are prior to race day. I also, if I'm getting ready for a race, I like to I pick up the vitamin C. I do it a couple of days before, during, and after. And this is all in my academy. And product and links to the supplements of different companies. And you have linked to my Full Script. Full Script is a high level, like medical based supplement area where you can find almost anything, but they check it all, expiration date and lot number. And that's in my academy. But I do like a multi of fish oil, vitamin D, and fish oil. And I do like a sprinkle of probiotics. For added food, do you suggest more mini meals and more snack breaks so the athlete is eating more throughout the day? Well, if they need 2,500 units of fuel a day, then they get meals and they get meals and mini meals. Snacks are kind of like, we don't need snacks. We need meals and mini meals. But they don't need to just eat goldfish, right? They need a sandwich with some goldfish, with a banana or some fruit strips and some, hummus and carrots. They just need more real food. We're eating so many snacky foods and we're not eating real food, and it's getting worse for our athletes and their health, not better. So I like athletes to eat 5 to 7 times a day, but usually 5 to 6 times a day, every 3 to 4 hours. So breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, snack is the most common. So definitely, why do I want them to eat more times a day? Because they need more fuel and they cannot dump it all at the end of the day. And if they try to do that, it's not good. They don't sleep well usually, and they just can't. We're never going to get anywhere by just piling it on at the end of the day. Balance throughout the day. All right. Any other questions for me? Why do you ask questions? All right. Well, it's 8 o'clock. Thanks you guys for coming tonight. I hope you found it useful and you got the free bonuses. And again, I have my academy that has calculate your fuel needs and the daily menu ideas and snacks linked to Amazon if you want more ideas. And you can ask me questions in there and hit the discussion button and it will come to me. My Food for Speed TV, do a shout out, do a video. Your team might actually be on my TV show in August, and we're doing some prelims. So it'd be cool if you get those videos in and tag it. It might be even on nationwide to 150 million people out there, but to pre put it out there. But that's a really nice platform too that you can do there. But if you follow me, you also get other things as well. You guys, thank you so much for your time. And I will get this replay to you within the next 24 hours. And I hope you found it useful. You guys, this is fixable. You have the information, and now you can help your athlete thrive and remember, use the leverage that you have to succeed. Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.